You are driving across a bridge in heavy rain. Visibility is almost zero. Your windshield wipers can barely keep up. You stay in your lane. You trust the road is there. And then you are falling 150 feet into Tampa Bay because the bridge you were driving on no longer exists, and you had no way to know. May 9th, 1980, 7:18 in the morning. The Sunshine Skyway Bridge, connecting St. Petersburg to Terracea across Tampa Bay, Florida. A tropical storm is pounding the region. Rain is torrential. Winds are gusting over 60 miles per hour. The freighter Summit Venture, loaded with phosphate, loses steering in the storm. The captain desperately drops anchor. It drags. The ship cannot stop. It slams into a support column of the bridge. A 1,300-foot section of roadway collapses into the water. 35 people fall to their deaths. A Greyhound bus carrying 26 passengers plunges off the edge. Cars tumble into the bay. But here is the nightmare detail. 6 vehicles drive off the broken edge after the collapse. In the blinding rain, drivers cannot see that the bridge is gone. They are traveling at 50 miles per hour. They hit the jagged edge and become airborne. Some drivers never even touch the brakes. They had no idea. One man stops his pickup truck 14 inches from the edge. Wesley McIntyre. He gets out in the rain, walks forward, and sees nothing. Just open air and wreckage below. The cars ahead of him are gone. He realizes he is seconds from falling. He backs away, shaking. He is one of the lucky ones. This is the story of the Sunshine Skyway Bridge collapse, the storm that brought it down, the ship that could not stop, and the 6 drivers who fell into the bay because they could not see the road had vanished. The original Sunshine Skyway Bridge opened in 1954. It was a cantilever truss bridge, 2 parallel spans, southbound and northbound. The bridge connected St. Petersburg on the Pinellas Peninsula to Manatee County across Tampa Bay. Before the bridge, travelers had to take a ferry. The trip was slow, unreliable, especially during storms. The Sunshine Skyway transformed the region. It cut travel time. It connected communities. It became an icon. The bridge was designed for the 1950s. Lower traffic volumes, smaller ships. By the 1970s, both had increased dramatically. Cargo ships passing under the bridge were larger, heavier. The navigation channel beneath the bridge was narrow. Ships had to pass close to the support columns. The bridge piers had minimal protection. Small concrete dolphins, defensive structures designed to deflect ships. But they were not large enough to stop a freighter traveling at speed. Engineers and maritime officials knew this was a problem. Studies were conducted. Recommendations were made. Larger protective barriers, wider navigation channels. But upgrades were expensive. The bridge was state-owned. Funding was limited. the improvements were postponed. The bridge continued to operate. Thousands of vehicles crossed daily. Cargo ships passed beneath, and everyone hoped a collision would never happen. On the morning of May 9, 1980, Tropical Storm Andrea was moving through the Gulf of Mexico. Heavy rain, high winds, reduced visibility. The National Weather Service issued warnings. Conditions were dangerous, but the Sunshine Skyway remained open. It always remained open during storms unless conditions became extreme. Ships continued to navigate Tampa Bay. Traffic continued to cross the bridge. It was a normal day until it was not. The original Sunshine Skyway was built in the early 1950s. Construction began in 1952. The bridge was a cantilevered truss design, steel framework supported by concrete piers. The main shipping channel ran beneath the center span. The clearance was 150 feet above the water, high enough for most ships at the time. The bridge piers were built directly in Tampa Bay. Workers drove pilings deep into the bay floor. Concrete was poured to create massive support columns. The steel trusses were assembled on land and lifted into place. The process took 2 years. The bridge opened to traffic in September 1954. It was celebrated as an engineering achievement, a symbol of Florida's growth and progress. By the late 1960s, traffic had increased beyond original projections. A second parallel bridge was constructed. It opened in 1971. Now there were 2 Sunshine Skyway bridges, southbound and northbound. They ran side by side. Both used the same design. Both had the same vulnerabilities. The support columns in the shipping channel were protected by small concrete dolphins. These are structures built around the piers to absorb impact from ships. But the dolphins on the Sunshine Skyway were minimal. They could deflect a small vessel, but a large freighter traveling at speed would crush them. Engineers knew this. Maritime pilots knew this. But retrofitting the bridge with larger protective barriers would require closing shipping lanes. It would cost millions. The work was never done. In 1977, a Coast Guard study identified the Sunshine Skyway as vulnerable to ship collision. The report recommended stronger protective systems. The state acknowledged the findings, but no action was taken. 3 years later, the bridge would collapse. May 9th, 1980. Early morning. Tropical Storm Andrea is battering the Tampa Bay region. Rain is heavy. Visibility is poor. The freighter Summit Venture is inbound to Tampa. The ship is 608 feet long, loaded with phosphate cargo, 34,000 tons. The pilot on board is John Lero. He is experienced. He has navigated Tampa Bay hundreds of times. but this storm is severe. At approximately 7 in the morning, the Summit Venture enters the main shipping channel beneath the Sunshine Skyway Bridge. The rain intensifies. Winds gust to over 60 miles per hour. Lero can barely see. The ship is being pushed by wind and current. He orders a course correction. The ship does not respond as expected. The steering feels sluggish. The massive cargo load makes the ship difficult to control in high winds. At 7:15, Lero realizes the ship is off course. It is drifting toward the bridge. He orders full reverse. The engines respond, but a ship this size cannot stop quickly. He orders the anchor dropped. The crew scrambles. The anchor hits the water. It drags along the bottom. The ship continues drifting. Lero sounds the horn, a warning, but there is nothing anyone can do. The Summit Venture is going to hit the bridge. At 7:18 a.m., the bow of the Summit Venture slams into the number 2 support pier of the southbound Sunshine Skyway Bridge. The impact is catastrophic. The support column fails. The cantilevered truss above loses its foundation. 1,300 feet of roadway collapses. Steel and concrete plunge into Tampa Bay. The section falls in pieces. Some hit the water. Some land on the deck of the Summit Venture. The ship is showered with debris. On the bridge, vehicles are crossing. Morning commuters. A Greyhound bus. The bus is southbound, carrying 26 passengers. The driver is traveling in the right lane. As the roadway collapses, the bus goes over the edge. It falls 150 feet, hits the water, sinks immediately. All 26 passengers and the driver perish. Not one survives. Other vehicles fall as well. A pickup truck, cars. Some tumble end over end. Others slide off the broken edge. The occupants have no warning. One moment they are driving through rain. The next they are airborne. Impact with the water at that height is like hitting concrete. Survival is nearly impossible. But the horror does not end with the collapse. The rain is so heavy that visibility is almost zero. Drivers approaching from the north cannot see the bridge is gone. The broken edge is jagged, ragged. There are no barriers, no warning signs, no flashing lights. The roadway simply ends, and cars keep coming. Wesley McIntyre is driving his pickup truck southbound. He is in heavy rain. He can barely see the road. He is following the lane markings, trusting the bridge is there. And then he sees something strange, or rather, he sees nothing. The road ahead seems to disappear. He slams on the brakes. The truck skids.
It stops, 14 inches from the edge. McIntyre sits for a moment, shaking. He gets out, walks forward in the rain, and realizes he is standing at the edge of a cliff. The bridge is gone. Below him, wreckage floats in the bay. He turns and runs back to his truck. He backs up, gets out, starts waving his arms, trying to warn other drivers. But 6 vehicles have already gone over. In the minutes after the collapse, before McIntyre arrived, 6 cars drove off the broken edge. The drivers never saw it. They were traveling at highway speed, 50 miles per hour or more, in zero visibility. They hit the edge and fell. Some drivers may have realized in the last seconds, others may never have known. The cars simply vanished into the rain and the bay below. Rescue efforts began immediately. Coast Guard helicopters were dispatched. Boats searched the wreckage. Divers went into the water. But the storm made rescue nearly impossible. The rain was blinding. The bay was rough. Debris was everywhere. Survivors were few. Some victims were pulled from the water. Most were not. The final count was 35 people lost, including the 26 on the Greyhound bus. The Summit Venture remained stuck beneath the collapsed bridge. The bow was damaged. Debris covered the deck, but the crew was unharmed. John Laro, the pilot, was devastated. He cooperated fully with investigators. He provided detailed testimony. He explained the loss of steering, the wind, the failed anchor. He was not charged with a crime. Investigators determined the collision was an accident. The storm, the ship's limitations, the bridge's vulnerability, all contributed. But questions remained. Why was the bridge open during a tropical storm? Why were ships allowed to navigate in such conditions? Why did the bridge have inadequate protection against collisions? The answers pointed to a systemic failure. Cost, delays, assumptions that a disaster like this would never happen, until it did.
There was no completion for the original Sunshine Skyway Bridge. The southbound span was destroyed. The northbound span was closed. It was deemed too similar in design, too vulnerable. Both spans were eventually demolished. A new bridge would have to be built. But first, the wreckage had to be cleared. Divers worked for weeks recovering bodies. Cranes lifted twisted steel from the bay. The Greyhound bus was found in the wreckage, crushed. All 26 passengers and the driver still inside. Families identified remains. Funerals were held. The community mourned. The investigation by the National Transportation Safety Board was thorough. The NTSB examined the ship, the bridge, the weather conditions, the timeline. The final report concluded that the collision was caused by a combination of factors. The storm reduced visibility and control. The ship lost steering. The anchor failed to hold, and the bridge piers had inadequate protection. Any one of these factors alone might not have caused disaster, but together they were fatal. The report made recommendations. Bridges over major shipping channels must have robust collision protection systems. Ships must have restrictions during severe weather. Navigation protocols must be improved. The recommendations were adopted. New standards were created. But for the 35 people who lost their lives, the changes came too late. Planning for a replacement bridge began immediately. The new Sunshine Skyway would be a cable-stayed design, much stronger, much safer, and it would have massive concrete dolphins around the support piers, designed to withstand direct impact from the largest cargo ships. The dolphins would be islands of reinforced concrete, large enough to stop a freighter dead in its tracks. Construction of the new bridge began in 1982. It took 5 years. The new Sunshine Skyway Bridge opened in April 1987. It is considered one of the most beautiful bridges in the world. A sweeping cable-stayed design with a single central pylon rising 543 feet above the bay. The main span is 1,200 feet. The clearance is 180 feet, higher than the original. And the protective dolphins are massive, 40 football fields of reinforced concrete. No ship will ever collapse this bridge. The old bridge piers that remain standing were left in place. They are now used as fishing piers. Memorials were placed. Plaques honor the 35 victims. The Skyway Bridge is now a symbol of resilience, a reminder of tragedy, and a testament to engineering improvements born from disaster.
The Sunshine Skyway collapse changed how America builds bridges over navigable waterways. Before 1980, many bridges had minimal ship collision protection. Cost was prioritized over safety. The assumption was that skilled pilots would avoid accidents. The Sunshine Skyway proved that assumption wrong. Storms happen, steering fails, anchors drag, and bridges must be built to survive the worst-case scenario. New federal standards were implemented. Any bridge over a major shipping channel must have collision protection capable of withstanding impact from the largest vessels that use the waterway. Protective systems must be designed with redundancy. If one barrier is breached, others must hold. The new Sunshine Skyway became the model. Its massive concrete dolphins set the standard. Maritime navigation protocols also changed. Ships are now restricted during severe weather. Pilots have more authority to delay passage if conditions are unsafe. Communication between ships and bridge authorities improved. Real-time weather monitoring became standard. The goal is to prevent ships from being caught in storms near vulnerable structures. The human cost of the disaster is never forgotten. 35 people lost their lives. 26 of them were on a single bus. Families were shattered. The community of Tampa Bay was traumatized. Memorials and annual remembrances keep the victims' stories alive. Survivors like Wesley McIntyre carry the memory. He has spoken publicly about stopping 14 inches from the edge, about the cars that went over, about how close he came to joining them. The 6 drivers who went over the edge in the minutes after the collapse represent a unique horror. They were not on the bridge when it fell. They arrived afterward, in conditions so poor they could not see the bridge was gone. They drove at normal speed, trusting the road, and fell to their deaths. It is a nightmare scenario, a reminder that infrastructure failures do not end when the structure collapses. The aftermath can claim more lives. The Sunshine Skyway disaster also highlighted the importance of real-time traffic control. Today, electronic signs and automated systems can close bridges instantly. Barriers can be deployed. Warnings can be broadcast. In 1980, none of this existed. The bridge collapsed and traffic kept coming. Now, technology prevents that. But the technology exists because 35 people died. The new Sunshine Skyway Bridge is an engineering marvel. It has won awards for design and beauty. It is a landmark, a tourist attraction. People traveled to see it, to photograph it, to drive across it. But beneath the beauty is a history of tragedy. The bridge is built on lessons learned from failure, from lives lost, from a storm that exposed how vulnerable infrastructure can be.
The Sunshine Skyway Bridge remains one of the most devastating infrastructure failures in modern American history. 35 people plunged into Tampa Bay when a freighter struck a support column during a tropical storm. 6 drivers fell to their deaths after the collapse because the rain was so heavy they could not see the bridge was gone. One man stopped 14 inches from the edge. And the disaster changed how America protects bridges and regulates shipping forever. The new Sunshine Skyway Bridge stands as a monument to resilience. Its massive protective dolphins ensure no ship will ever bring it down. Its cable-stayed design is a symbol of engineering excellence. But the bridge also stands as a memorial to the 26 people on a Greyhound bus, to the 6 drivers who could not see, to the 35 lives lost on a rainy morning in May 1980. If you want to uncover more stories of American infrastructure hiding dark secrets, subscribe to Hidden America. Next time, we will explore the Citicorp Center crisis in New York City, where an engineering student discovered a fatal flaw in a 59-story skyscraper 1 year after it opened. Emergency repairs were done secretly at night while a hurricane approached, and the public knew nothing for nearly 20 years. Subscribe now for more hidden infrastructure stories. And remember, The Sunshine Skyway taught America that infrastructure must be built for the worst day, not the average day. 35 people paid the price for that lesson.